And the mind is all about the past and the future. It's not about now. You can't describe the now using words. You can describe what just was, but the now is faster than the mind. It's more immediate.
Hello and welcome to Success 2.0. It's a podcast for overachievers who are constantly searching for that next thing, the next promotion, the next house, the next achievement, whatever it ends up being. People like you and me. Today, we are truly blessed to have I'll call him one of the greats in the self-help world. His name is Hale Dwoskin, and he is the author of the New York Times bestseller, The Sedona Method. He's also the co-author of Happiness is Free, and It's Easier Than You Think. He did it with his mentor, Lester Levinson. He's one of the featured teachers in the book and the movie phenomenon, The Secret, as well as the featured teacher in The Greatest Secret. He's also a founding member of the Transformational Leadership Council. What I love about Hale is for 40 some odd years, I don't want to call him old, but for 40 some odd years, he has been teaching people some very simple concepts that have the power to transform your life. I mean, and I don't want to be one of those guys who says, this is the silver bullet. If you just do this, everything is easy. But the fact of the matter is, if you would just follow some of his very simple teachings, your life can be very different. Now, I will warn you, it's not easy to do. It's not easy to follow these teachings. But in today's episode, he's going to go into the importance of being in the moment. Now, we all know we should live in the moment more. We might have read the book, The Present. We might have been told many times it's important to be in this moment. But what Hale talks about, and it hit me today, maybe for the first time ever, is that words cannot describe being in the moment. And you can't really use words to talk about being in the now. You just are in the now. Or you are in this moment. And it's hard to wrap your arms around, but the truth is that all we have in this is this moment. And Hale dives into it in real deep. And then more importantly, or as important, Hale talks to us about the power of letting go of the worry and frustration and the things in our life that are driving us a little bit crazy. I know you're going to love Hale, and I know you're going to love this show. We appreciate, as always, you being a part of our journey. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the program. I got that. I got that. I got that. Focus. All right, folks, we are excited to have Hale Dwoskin on the line with us. Hale, how are you doing today?
Great. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Hale is the author of the Sedona Method, and we're going to talk a ton about that today and all of the great work that he's doing. But Hale, imagine that we know nothing about you. How in the world did you land where you're at today? Give us the 50,000-foot Hale journey.
Well, I started seeking as a teenager and did a lot of different programs, both from the East and the West. And then I met my mentor and the man who inspired the Sedona Method in 1976 at an event that I organized for Leonard Orr. It was a one-year seminar. Lester came as a guest, and then Leonard and I went out for lunch. And sitting across from Lester at lunch, I was just blown away by the fact that he was just this living embodiment of wholeness, of peace, of joy. And I could feel it just being with him. It wasn't what he said. And so I signed up for his 2-weekend course. He didn't teach it. He had someone else teach it. And before the course was even over, I realized that this was what I was going to dedicate my life to.
Oh, you got to be kidding me. Really?
Yeah. I just knew it intuitively. I just got this hit. Oh, this is my path. And that was 1976, and it's now 2021.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still going strong.
Oh, good for you.
In the 90s, Lester turned over his copyrights to me and asked me to continue his work. And then he passed a couple of years after that. And that's how I got involved with the Sedona Method. And I wrote the Sedona Method book in the early 2000s, and also wrote a book, Happiness is Free, and It's Easier Than You Think. And so that's the overarching story.
Well, you can imagine, Hale, that very few people have that kind of experience in their life where something
Oh, yeah, I
happens to
know.
them and they're like, oh my gosh, this is it, you know?
Right.
And you just don't hear that so often. So let's start with what exactly is the Sedona method? Because I think that's the core of your teachings, and all of the philosophies kind of begin with this core of the Sedona method. Can you give us the high level overview of what it is? And then we'll kind of unpack it as we go through it.
Basically, you, I, everyone has no limits except the limits that we accept in our mind.
Mm-hmm.
We're actually limitless beingness, all of us. And that's something you can discover from your own direct experience in every and any moment and every moment. And what the Sedona method does is it helps you in two ways. One is it helps you to make that discovery of that unlimited nature that's deep within you.
Mm-hmm.
And it helps you to let go of the stress, the tension, the anxiety, the inner obstacles to having, being, and doing whatever you want in life. So it's a tool for self-discovery or self-recognition, and it's a tool for self-mastery at the same time. And they don't always go together. Usually people are either into self-mastery or they're into self-realization. It's rare that the two combine, but Lester knew that he needed to combine the two in what he taught. And the way we teach the method now, it's very much about pursuing having the life that you choose. And it's also about discovering the truth of who you are. And we teach a very powerful set of techniques that are also very intuitive, so that as you learn them, they become second nature because they're based around what's natural. And so the tools point you both to this self-recognition of your own true nature, and the tools also point you to letting go of all that excess baggage that most of us carry around all the time.
Yeah, you know what I find interesting about it, and we had this conversation off air. The book was given to me 15 years ago by a very dear friend of mine. I read it and I thought, oh my gosh, this makes all the sense in the world. I should start doing this. And I have not done it nearly as well as I should. But what I found over the years, I'm an avid reader of every self-help book that's ever been done. And there's a new self-help book written about every 7 seconds.
Yeah, I know there are a lot of them.
Right. A bazillion of them. But what's so fascinating to me about the Sedona method is these 5 questions, or this really simple, straightforward approach isn't complicated. Right?
No,
you didn't come up with some complicated, you've got to have 9 binders and 32 spreadsheets. No, it's so straightforward.
Yes,
why was the simplicity so critical to the success of the entire movement of this program?
That's very simple. Is most things in life are way too over complex and challenging and indirect in their approach. But Lester was a very direct guy, and so am I. I'm a little softer than he was. He was just really in your face. But I and he both believe that truth is simple. If it was complicated, everyone would understand it. And the simpler you make a technique, the more natural it is, and the easier it is for you to duplicate. And also, because it's letting go is natural, young children do it spontaneously without effort. It's only after we train them out of it as they mature, in quotes, into adulthood, that they lose touch with this natural ability. So simple questions is all you need to discover something that children do without question. It's just natural. And adults have gotten so lost in their heads and so cut off from the truth of who they are that they have to learn a technique to do this. Whereas children don't need techniques. Their life is simplicity. But this ability was unconscious when they were young. It was just spontaneous and natural. So we were able to train it out of them as a society and as adults, as parents. So as adults, we do need a little bit of pointers and training to get back in touch with something that's so core and so natural.
At some level, and I plead guilty to this, we think that if it's simple, it can't work, right? It has to be complex. I've got to study it for 27 years. I've got to,
Yes.
and if it's not complex, there's no way it can work, right?
That's absolutely one of the big misconceptions around self-help. When we first started teaching the Sedona method actually it started a few years before I got involved. It started in the early 70s. There were almost no one talking about letting go. It was the 12-step community was talking about it, and there was pillow beating. There wasn't much out there.
Mm-hmm.
Primal therapy. And that's not really letting go, that's just expressing. And since we started teaching this, we now have thousands of people who are imitators. And it's also become part of the vernacular. Everyone knows they need to let go. We had to convince people they needed to let go in the 70s.
Right.
Now everyone's like, yeah, how do I let go? Of course I need to know how to let go. And because everyone's telling me to let go, and I'm telling myself to let go, and it's not always that easy.
Right.
But now there isn't a self-help program out there that doesn't encourage you to let go. Yet no one has yet come up with something, in my estimation, and I'm not alone in this. My friends like Jack Canfield and John Gray and Marcy Scheimoff and all the other teachers in The Secret who all use the Sedona method, or most of them do, all think that this is still the benchmark for letting go, the Sedona method, after all these years.
So why is it so hard to let go? Right.
It's
so
not. You're doing it right now.
Oh my goodness. Okay, let me ask it this way.
No. Let me just finish this and then you can ask the question. So that's why it's powerful, because it's very easy to let go. It's very hard to hold on. That's why we're tired at the end of the day. We really struggle to hold, where we're so tight inside, most of us, from the process of trying to go against the flow, trying to hold on, trying to resist what's coming into our experience and hold out on to what is naturally leaving our experience, that we're a mess, most of us, all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, each time we let go, and one of the ways we let go naturally is when we laugh spontaneously, like you just did. There was a little release in that.
There was. I feel better already.
I understand, and that's why comedy is so popular. It's not just that it's funny. Why do we like laughing? When it's genuine laughter, we feel better, because laughter is one of the ways that letting go is built, hardwired into our body-mind mechanism. But it's not always convenient to laugh. And you can't always get yourself to laugh, especially if you're really bummed out. But you can learn how to let go, even in extreme situations, without even needing to smile, because that's just one of the natural ways that's still part of us. But it's not what the Sedona method is all about. The Sedona method is pointing to the same thing.
Okay, so having said that, let's assume that I have a friend, he will remain nameless, who has this worry. And the worry is that something is going to go wrong in the future with his business. And he recognizes, at some core level, he says to himself, well, there's nothing wrong with my business. It's going to go just fine. There's nothing wrong with it. All the logic tells me there's nothing wrong with it. Yet he still worries that someday something will go wrong with the buthis.
Yes,
and he wants to just let that go. But for whatever reason, he's incapable of letting it go.
This mysterious person.
This mysterious person, right? Whomever he might be. And again, this mysterious person isn't alone, because all my clients are just like me. We've convinced ourselves that there's something wrong in our life at all times. And what we want to do, especially these overachieving professionals that I'm dealing with all the time, is I want to fix it. So can you please give me a book to read to fix what's wrong with me? That's what they want. They crave the fix.
No. Everybody wants that. Most of us, as long as we have any identification with being just the body, most of us think we're the body, or we think we're a person. We have personality and we certainly have a body, but we've mistaken that with who we really are. Lester used to say that's the least of us. There's something way beyond the body. But the key is, as long as you haven't recognized that fully for yourself, life is one struggle after the other, no matter how good you are at it. This is true for multi-billionaires or people living on the street. It's one challenge or struggle after the other, because as long as you're identified as a person locked in a body, then everything and everyone else is a potential threat. And if you don't feel that wholeness and completeness that comes from recognizing the truth of who you are, that's not your living experience, then you're looking for every experience to complete you. And it's not possible. Experiences can't complete you. Stuff is not going to complete you. You're already whole and complete enough as you are. And most of us, especially the type of person that you usually deal with, who's a professional trying to improve their business or protect their business or expand their business or start a business or just not go out of business, depending on the challenges. It's not that we don't know what we should be doing. We often do know, but we can't get ourselves to do it. Or we know there's a solution, but we can't really get ourselves out of the way or our mind quiet enough to see it. And that's where the method comes in, that when you let go, your mind quiets. When you let go of your beliefs from the past that are preventing you from performing in this moment. When you let go, your ability to both use clear reason and access your intuitive knowingness expands exponentially. When you're uptight, even the things you can't remember. That's why, for instance, if you're taking the performance anxiety that comes not just for exams, but you're in an important business meeting and you need to present things the correct way to close the sale or to keep it from falling apart or whatever the goal you're wanting to accomplish in that meeting. But because of the pressure and the anxiety or the stress, you'll forget things that you know. But when you let that go, you can be relaxed and open and clear and very confident and direct without the usual knots inside. And that is extremely helpful in your both your personal life and your business life.
In most of us, I think you might argue, Hale, is that our society has convinced us that even though now all the therapy says and all the books say let go, for whatever reason, we're not doing it. The perfect example happens to be this global pandemic we're in.
Right.
We're in this terrifying, that's my word. We're in this scary time where we have lost almost all certainty in any way, shape, or form. And we say to ourselves, I want to control this. I want to know my family's going to be safe. I want to know the economy is going to be good. I want to know everything is great. And how does the Sedona method help us deal with the latest stress that we're dealing with as it relates to the pandemic?
There's several ways. First off, when we're wanting to control the outcome, we're looking to the future or the past, not dealing with what we can deal with now. There's always something we can deal with now. Now is the only time you actually can do anything about anything. But we forget that and we stress. We either imagine a terrible future or we stress about what's known, what we think is known about the future, or we're rehashing the past, even if it's just a few seconds ago. So because of that, we're not dealing with what is. So when you let go, you can sense, wait a minute, I can sense that maybe being outdoors is a safe way to be around people. That's just smart. You can figure it out. There's enough information out there now. But if you're stressed, you could forget that being indoors with a large group of people may not be the best thing to do. So, and then responding to uncertainty is something we do all day long. Even when we're the most certain, we're surprised. You go into any situation and you think you know how it's going to turn out. And often it doesn't turn out exactly the way you want it to. That's why when you pre-plan a conversation, it never goes the way you planned it.
Right.
Because the life is actually spontaneous and we lose track of that. And we try to pre-think it. You can't pre-think life. because then you overthink it and you're not dealing with what life is presenting you in the moment. So all of that translates to being able to respond appropriately in this moment to what's here, including the where we are now in the pandemic. Fortunately, at least in the United States, we're starting to get to the other side of the whole pandemic, but it's a worldwide thing. If it's not dealt with worldwide, there's no guarantee a stronger version of it won't come back here. So, but none of that is in your control. You can't really control the pandemic. You can control how you respond. And the best way to take charge of that is to let go. Because the more you let go, the more you're responding, not just from fear from the past or anger from the past or beliefs from the past. You're responding to the information you have in front of you in this moment. And that's always more effective. Always. Even if you have wonderful expectations from the past, if they're wonderful expectations and they don't align with the way this situation actually is, you're wishing it is that way, then you're going to open mouth, insert foot, and eat half your leg before you realize, oh my God, I'm going in the wrong direction. This worked great the last time I was in a similar situation, but this is a different situation. It's not working so well. And in life, we don't know how to change gears. But a great way to change gears is to let go. Okay, that's not working. I'll just simply let go. And as you let go, all of a sudden, well, obviously, I need to go this direction now. And then you can change on a dime.
Thanks for listening to Success 2.0 and for allowing me to be a part of your journey. As you probably know, I've been obsessed for a long time with helping overachievers get more joy, contentment, and satisfaction from all their hard work. Along those lines, I've created something called the Achiever's Compass, which is a very simple 20-question assessment designed to help you get a sense for where you're at in this journey. In addition, it'll give you some really helpful tips to help you generate some momentum. If you'd like to learn more, click on the link in the show notes or go to cjmcclanahan.com. Right. There's a thought process in my head that is not delivering the result that makes any sense or that I enjoy in any way, shape, or form. Why don't I simply just let that go?
Exactly.
Right. Simply let it go. I'm going to screw this up, but the Buddha had 4 noble truths, I believe. And one of them, I can't remember which one, but basically the Buddha said, listen, suffering is an option. You're going to have pain in your life, but whether or not you allow that pain to cause you to suffer and agonize over and over and over again, that's your choice and that's your option. But we've convinced ourselves that part of life is agonizing all the time. And I've got to think about it. What if this goes wrong tomorrow? What if that goes wrong tomorrow? And I got people talking to me all day long about, CJ, I'm worried that this might not happen the right way. Well, that's because you're worried about something that might happen in the future that you can do absolutely nothing about. Just be in the moment.
Right. And again, hearing that you should be in the moment is not the same as living in the moment. And
what's the
living in
difference?
the moment is the natural outcome from 2 things. From letting go of your clinging to the past or trying to control the future. And the other is recognizing the truth of who or what you are. That beingness that you are only lives in the moment. It's never anywhere else. The more you recognize the truth of who you are and the more you let go of what you're not, the more even the mind pays attention to the moment. And the mind is all about the past and the future. It's not about now. You can't describe the now using words. You can describe what just was, but the now is faster than the mind. It's more immediate.
I just want to write that down. You cannot describe the now using words.
No, you can't.
That is truly insightful. Oh my gosh, I'm writing that down.
Okay.
So the difference between just being and telling yourself I'm just going to be is the difference between night and day. There's 2 ends of the spectrum. Is what you said.
Totally.
Yeah. I'm just going to be in the moment. But
I'll tell you a couple of shortcuts.
Okay. That's what I want. Shortcuts.
Good. So first off, try to get out of the now. Can you?
No.
Right, exactly. So do you need to get into the now? No. You just need to notice what is now. That's simple. That's easy. You don't have to go anywhere. You just simply notice what is. And the quieter your mind is, the more you've let go of all the baggage you're carrying around from the past or because of what you're anticipating for the future, the more that the easier it gets to recognize what's actually here now. And the other thing is, try to not be. Can you actually not be?
No. So then why
Right.
try to be?
Exactly. You don't need to try to be what you already are. You just need to notice it. Like in this moment, just focus on whatever you're perceiving yourself to be. It could be a body or a mind, or it could be CJ or who are people listening to this, whatever you're called. And then just simply check, are you actually that person or that name or that form? Or are you that which is aware of it? Just look in your direct experience. If you can perceive it, then you must be apart from it in order to see it as an object. But what is it that's there before the object? Just
awareness.
That's right. And that awareness is always here, always now, and without which there could be no experiencing, none. And that's very easy to notice. And in noticing it, each time you notice it, your whole body mind relaxes a little because you're not moving away from what you are looking for yourself. You already are yourself. You already are that awareness, which is at the heart of every experience, which also is the stuff that every experience is made of.
Hold on, say that again.
The awareness is not only the heart of every experience, but if you look from your direct experience, if you look into your direct experience in this moment, you'll realize that everything you're experiencing is made up of awareness too. It's all happening within your awareness.
But we think if I go to the future and try to analyze the crap out of the future, I'll somehow make it better and I'll enjoy it more.
Yeah. And that never has worked for anybody, except we still keep doing it.
Right. Plan.
But no, nothing. Some planning is necessary. We plan to have this conversation right now.
Right.
So there's normal, but most of us overplan or we overthink our plans. We obsess over them. We stress over them. We analyze them instead of just you do the plan and then what would make it happen much more easily is to let go of all the stress and the tension and the anxiety about performance or anything else or how it's going to go. Because you don't know how it's going to go. It's going to go exactly as it is. I'll give you a written guarantee. Whatever is happening in this moment is happening in this moment. Whatever happens, happens.
Right.
But we forget that. Yeah. We think our thinking about it makes it better. But unfortunately, for most of us, our thinking is not very constructive.
Okay, so all of this leads us to the new book, Happiness is Free, which I read a little bit about. Tell us about it. I'm excited to learn more about it.
Well, the book is Happiness is Free, and it's easier than you think.
Okay.
And it's actually a re-editing and an expansion of a book, a 5-book series that I did in the early 2000s. I think it was 2001. But I re-released it because Lester Levinson, the man who I met, who inspired me to get involved in this work, and myself are heavily quoted in Rhonda Byrne's new book, The Greatest Secret. I'm actually the only teacher who's in both The Secret, the movie book phenomena, and in The Greatest Secret. I'm in both books.
Okay.
I'm the only teacher who's quoted as a teacher in both books. And there's a story behind that when I got interviewed for The Secret, the movie, which also turned into a book, we spent an hour and a half discussing letting go and Lester's teachings because Rhonda was so into that even back then, 14 years ago. But then at the very end, she said, you need to say something about the law of attraction. Otherwise, you're not going to be in this movie. So I came up with something quick that I knew would be appropriate. And it became a whole segment of the movie. The quote was, be for the solution as opposed to opposed to the problem. And there's a whole segment about that in the movie, The Secret. But Rhonda continued to explore letting go and also just discovering the truth of who she was for another 14 years. And in 2016, it all started to come together, and she put together this book from her direct experience. She's seen a lot in the past 14 years, and quoting a lot of the teachers that were influential in that unfoldment for her. And so there are 65 quotes from Happiness is Free or more in Rhonda's book.
Okay.
And so it was a 5-book series, and I didn't think that was fair to people to have to buy 5 books, and it was just too complicated. So what I did is I simplified the books that Rhonda loved so much, that's why she quoted them so much, into one book. And then I updated the book format it's teachings from Lester. And then I give practical tools you can use to apply them in your life or ways to understand them more deeply, and all based around the Sedona method. And so I expanded that part of the book dramatically. And so it's a great primer for happiness and self-discovery. And it's gone pretty popular.
Right. Fantastic. Okay. Here's the big one. So you've been doing this a while.
Yes.
I'm not calling you old. You've just been doing it a while.
I am
All
old.
right.
I'm 67.
All right.
That's moderately old.
Moderately old. Are you still having fun?
Every moment.
The
wonderful thing is the more you let go and recognize the truth of who you are, the happier you are moment to moment. You could be sitting doing absolutely nothing and be ecstatically happy. That's my living experience. And it's not just my experience. There are hundreds of thousands of people doing this work all over the world. And I get reports all the time from people who are saying, I'm happy all the time now. I'm calm. I'm peaceful all the time. No matter what life throws at me, I'm unshakable inside.
Interesting.
And I also really enjoy facilitating people in this. I don't do the basic program anymore. I haven't for many years, but I do our more advanced programs, both as online events. Well, everything's online now. I do. But, next year I'll probably go back to doing at least some live seminars. And I love doing that. I love watching people take such simple, powerful, direct tools and have their lives transform right before my eyes. It's like, someone will come to me and they've been afraid with a deep fear or phobia they've had for decades. And we'll get into releasing on it, and they'll feel such relief that it may never arise again. And I know it hasn't arisen again because I know people have been doing this work for decades too. And I knew them when I worked with them 20 years ago or 10 years ago, had this problem which they thought would be there forever, all consuming. And that it's been gone for many years, many, many years. Some people, they drop it in just one releasing session, something they thought was insurmountable.
Okay, Hale, last question. So my audience is full of professionals who think they know it all, and they're listening right now. And many of them, because they've listened to me, and I buy into the entire philosophy of letting go. I'm not perfect at it. In fact, I give myself a 6 on a scale of 1 to 10, which you are going to really tell me, just let go, CJ. I would give myself
but 6 is great.
I'm
Most
moving.
People in life are at 2 or 3.
I'm moving in that direction. And our listeners today are saying it can't be that easy. How do we respond? Help me convince them?
Well, look, don't believe us. Check it out for yourself. If you go to sedona.com/CJ, there's information about our programs, but there's also all sorts of free resources. We have a free hour and 8-minute movie on YouTube that there's a link to there. Our YouTube page also has over 200 videos that teach parts of the Sedona method.
Okay.
And our Facebook page, the Sedona Method Facebook page, has daily quotes that help you let go, and also quite a bit of video. So there are a lot of free resources around this too. And then we have programs that are interactive, they're fast, they're simple, they're very powerful, and you'll start to see benefits from them, many people within minutes, but certainly by the time you finish the first session. But for those of you who don't want to take the plunge or spend any money, go to our free resources first.
And those will all be in our show notes, folks. We will definitely have all those notes and all those links in our show notes. We'll also have links to all Hale's books and all of the other resources that he has produced throughout the years. Hale, I love the fact that you are having so much fun doing it. That's probably my greatest takeaway. It's just to watch. I see the joy on your face and how much you enjoy connecting with people. And it doesn't seem like you've lost the excitement and the energy for doing this one bit, does it?
No, I'm in my 44th year of doing this work with people. And it's just gotten better. I just feel really grateful and fortunate that I discovered this so young and stayed with it so long and have helped so many people. It's an honor to be able to help people the way that this body mind has. It's just fun to be part of it.
I love it. It's outstanding. Well, Hale, thank you so much for all of your time today. We appreciate it. Keep doing all the great work. God bless you, my friend.
Oh, thank you for having me.